So finally, if I may, let's knock this age-old smear campaign against me on the head. I think it deserves at least that. Just in case anybody is still bewitched by it, let me clear the record. So what was the problem initially with me is that I was very much crippled intellectually, emotionally, and physiologically by far right-wing Christian brutality. I was hit very, very severely at times for things I hadn't actually done, or in some instances because I hadn't been taught what was expected. And even though the brutality was sporadic, it wasn't just active brutality but passive as well, in that my intellectual questions were denied any answer, and I was given no emotional support. And in an instance, or in the instances where there was any doubt as to uh, who would deserve culpability or who would be blameworthy in a ambiguous situation, I was blamed. I was deemed blameworthy, and even once again without knowing what it was I was being blamed for. A case in point, when my father had his rather sad retirement party from the Polytech, and he didn't want to leave. I think he was obliged to do so because the money he was getting paid was becoming less and less, and really would reach the point of being not a viable pay packet due to inflation which had hit the country. So he realized he had to bite the bullet and move on and migrate. He was really, really distressed, I would imagine. Had he shared his thoughts with us, we probably would have said yes, that was something he felt distressing and distressful. But I was 12, 13, very, very awkward, very, very, very shy. And I was at this party where the people were older than I. They were students, 17, 18, 19, and lecturers. And I was leaning against a wall, just trying to disappear, trying to be not there at all, because these were not kids in my age group. And I suspect that one of the guys who disrespected my father, somebody 18, 19, or 20, said to my father that I'd been giving him the eye, or I'd been doing something that was enticing or wrong, or something to that effect. I wasn't. I was modestly gazing downward, actually just not really wanting to be there at all, actually. Believing that I wasn't exactly even there at all. And on the way back home, he flew into a rage as if I'd betrayed him totally, as if I had destroyed his credibility, as if everything blameworthy was down to me. And that was just one situation with my father's profound uncomfort that I was going to become an adult female, and his complete hatred of adult women, his extreme dislike of them, was starting to find expression. So this was the kind of background I was brought up with. This was the kind of situation. And because I was abused intellectually, emotionally, and physiologically, I was hit, and it had a physiological impact. It destroyed my basic health, causing me fatigue and incredible allergic reactions, and just weakness in general. Due to these reasons, I was set up very badly for life, for adult life. I was not set up at all. I was undermined at the starting gate. Now, this was the beginning of the smear campaign. It was my father's smear campaign against women, based on his far-right Christian perspective. And ever since then, because I actually internalized some of that, or maybe a lot, and I thought that my inability to be strong physically was down to moral weakness, which was how it was represented to me. Like, why can't you just pick yourself up by your bootstraps? You must be morally weak. But every time I tried to, and every time I had the slightest difficulty, my father came and kicked me in the head. It makes it very difficult indeed to pull yourself up magically. This all had to do, this was the origin of the smear campaign. It was with my father and with my mother's collusion. And my intent on enduring it, and my goal in putting up with the situation, was I had no choice. If my health was failing me, if I really couldn't work a day in a normal sense without feeling distant, remote, fatigued, sick, as if I was harboring many viruses that my immune system couldn't quite throw off, I myself viewed that as moral failure, and I tried to deal with it as best I could. And that was harsh, because I really didn't have the energy or the tools or the support system or the knowledge to deal with anything. And this went on for years, and all I had was hope. So what's interesting and what's really shocking beyond belief is how all of this, my attempt to bravely and quietly cope with difficulties that others actually refused to help me with, even when I asked them to, because they couldn't understand them, or because they didn't really think I needed the help I was asking for. This whole attempt to get by and to survive could later be branded as me choosing a rebellious way out, or me taking action of my own accord, or me being defiant, or any of those things. And least of all, how it could be in any way how I and my situation could be tarnished with the brush of Western narcissism. That beggars belief. That is what I was doing, what I was surviving was exactly the opposite, with the opposite attitude and demeanor to any kind of Western narcissist. So, but people don't understand things, and people say, well, if you're hiding something, well, yes, I'm hiding my moral failure, which is actually not a moral failure, but my physiological bashing. I'm hiding that because it can't be addressed, and because I have become ashamed of it, and I have been taught to become ashamed of it. And because I can't do anything about it, the only practical, pragmatic recourse is to camouflage it as best one can. But to have to do that is not the same as a narcissist hiding his manipulative agenda, or her manipulative agenda. These are so different. If you can't discern chalk from cheese, you can't discern night from day, black from white, green from a spotted elephant. I don't know. It's they're not the same things. They are just fundamentally not the same. But all of this was the basis for the smear campaign, and it kept up for decades, literally decades. And I tried to clear my name. I tried to clear up the situation by writing about it, but I wasn't able to get through. And it just layer upon layer of distortion took place. What is superlatively awful is that people who proclaim themselves to be liberal or progressive or feminist took the side of right-wing Christianity, and specifically Rhodesian right-wing militaristic Christianity, in hammering me back down into my place and bringing me back as far as possible under my father's control, or under the control of his ideology. Thank you very much. You did really, really great. My contempt for these fake Western liberals knows no bounds. They are the most horrific people ever. And they continued the smear campaign. Just awful. Why? How could you? What? I mean, like, the intellectual confusion of somebody like that. It's just beggars belief. But there it is, all supporting Rhodesian right-wing Christianity, forcing me to be brought up the way my father had determined I ought to be, as his revenge against the Mugabe regime and the change of the system to Zimbabwe. He wanted to exact his own form of vengeance by making sure I was still brought up in the traditional way. Despite it all, despite the changes that were being forced on everybody else. Well done, yes, you're the Western liberals. You deserve some hearty smack on the back someday, but nobody will be strong enough or bright enough to deliver what you really ought to be having, because we don't live in a society where people face the consequences of what they do. It's a different sort of situation now. And then maybe there is some genuine substance to my own attitudes and upbringing, in an entirely different sense from the destruction my father wreaked on me, but in a very solid sense. Maybe if you had some Rhodesian backbone, you wouldn't be quite how you are. But there you are, and there we are, and on we go.